Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to talk about the best mods of 2026. I always thought, why isn't there a video that talks about the sheer scale of the mods? So let me talk about the beautiful modding community of CK3. And for that, I created a collection of mods, a mod list, with the beautiful name Throne of Ashes, right from the start. If you want to try it out, you can check it out on Steam. And with that said, let's jump in the first mod. Before we start, I focused on the main mods in this video. I have 130 mods in this list, but I focus on new mods or special in any way. So basic mods like better UI scaling or page room scooter are not in this video. And I don't focus only on mods that got released in 2026, just a combination of the mods. The first mods are my baseline for every video and they will never be changed. So let's start with the first. The unofficial patch just changes a couple of things. It could also be just a patch from the developers, but it is made from the community and it's really beautiful. Then we have the ChatGPT Flavor Pack Lite. That changes really much and is a baseline for many things. For example, just that you get a feeling, you have the opportunity to make war preparations. You can scheme for legitimacy, influence self-improvement or sponsor an expedition. You have war consequences. You have 9 new duchies and 7 new tribal duchy buildings. You can propose trade agreements and build your trading empire with low higher hegemony trade power. 300 new character traits, 1500 mini events, and even more. Then we have the graphics enhancement. I always want to use some little mod that changes the appearance a little bit. In this case, I use the understated elegance in graphics mod. It changes the graphics by using shaders. And then we have just some music mods as the baseline. Then we have the big section of UI mods. And let's start with the most important UI mod. I think it's the clear notifications mod. I don't know why there isn't a button in the base game already. And you need a mod for that, but it's essential. The next music button, pretty cool. With that you have a button in the top left where you can directly change the music. The Realm Ledger mod gives you detailed information over your vessels. You see in one place their military strength, faith, culture, main holding, vessel states. You can see your knights, their opinion and prowess, and you even see claims you can use and your vessel's claims. Especially when you have many vessels, it's much more organized. The Nameplates Plus mod shows you the family relation, possible council position, name and title of the character you are interacting with in an event. And to end that section, I have a nostalgic little Crusader Kings I classic loading screen mod. You see that I have many small mods, they change one particular thing. But in summary, when you combine all those small mods, you get a completely new feeling. With this simple artifact manager mod, you can manage all of your artifacts by clicking on yourself and handle all of them at once. Normally it's really tedious when you have hundreds of artifacts accumulated. Next we have search and trade artifacts. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. With that you have the possibility to search for artifacts. And then another quality of life mod where you can one click toggle the automation for all your core positions. All of these mods are so logic, but that's not in the base game, that's actually insane. And the next important one is Better Mass Vessel Directive. That's the quality of life mod, where you can simply manage all of your master directives with one click. We have another quality of life mod, the education automation mod. With that, you can automate all your education settings. So for example, you don't have to always choose your education for all of your relatives or your child's even. And then we have another quality of life mod, one-click demand conversion. That's just simple mandatory mod where you don't have to manage every conversion one by one. With that you can one-click demand conversion. Member activity choices, a quality of life mod where you don't have to manually change your activity choices for every hunt or feast, let's say. Then we have the first mod that actually changes something in the game, the Persia Crown Authority. When you have the 4th Crown Authority activated, your vessels can't declare war anymore. Even the vessels of your vessels. That's normally not given in the base game. Then we have Counselor's Experience trait. Basically, your counselors gain experience based on their position. And even you can, if you're in the council of your liege. As next, we have the Commander Plus updated for 1.18. That's a beautiful little mod that adds 29 new commander traits, and all of them are very unique. That just adds a little bit more flavor. So we have more variety on the commander traits. Immersive Realm Laws is another really cool mod. This mod adds 14 new realm laws where you can decide what your realm should look like. And you even have events based on your chosen realm laws. Sometimes, depending on your character traits, you lose or you gain stress. You can, for example, ban or encourage slavery. You can decide your domain taxes for the payment of more stress, and so on and so on. As next, we have a Promise of Blood, a congenital trait rework. Normally in the base game, when you have a congenital trait, it gets inherited to the new generation, no matter what. And with that mod, the congenital traits get changed. So you have, for each congenital trait, 3 aspects and 5 levels they can get. The next one is the Better Population Control mod. It looks a little bit sus, but that's actually pretty mandatory. You increase your performance for the cost of killing some random and useless characters. Next, we have the free auto mods that automize the conversion, the promote culture, and the increase control. Together with more game rules, you need comp patches for that. They're always very nice to have because you don't have to manage one by one. Just do it by themselves. The expanded court position search and recruit mod is really nice and finally updated to 1.18. And I don't know why that is in the base game, but with that you can search and recruit characters for every court position and not only, I think, 3 in the base game. The Regency and Rework mod is another prime example of advancing a given mechanic in the base game and improving it. This mod reworks how the power swing is generated. The travel distance mod takes in account the distance between your vessels. For example, when you try to murder them, the success chance gets reduced depending on the distance to your vessels. Now to the holding improvement section, where we overhaul the most important holdings of the Middle Age. The first mod, Medieval Art, is the most important for that purpose. It changes dozens of unique 3D models and historical monuments and handmade city sprawl graphics. We have the beautiful holding of Cologne, we have the holding of London with walls and the bridge. Together with another mod, we have the holding of Baghdad, changed with walls in the outside. We have also some special buildings displayed on the outside of the holdings. Of course, we have the holding of Paris changed. Look at that beauty with the Church of Notre Dame. I love this mod. Also, the holdings of Al-Andalusia and Spain got changed. The holding of Kairos massively expanded. And also the holding of Alexandria got changed quite a bit. Medieval Arts is one of the must-have mods. Make sure that you always use this mod. Next in line, we have the Cities of Wonders 3. It's kind of Medieval Arts, but it changes every city in existence and let every city sprawl evolve depending on the development. If you have a specific development threshold achieved, you can choose a city wonder, and at the same time your holding sprawl gets changed. Next, we have another pretty important mod for the holdings. We already had 2 mods that changed the holdings depending on specific factors. With immersive holdings, every holding got changed to a new, in my opinion, more beautiful holding sprawl. Instead of your round palisade holdings, you now have holdings on a mountain, like it was in real Europe, I think. And depending on your time period, these immersive holdings also change a little bit. Then we have another holding change, the Prosperous Kaifeng mod. It just simply changes the appearance of holding of Kaifeng to a significant factor. I mean, look at that beauty. Another major mod for the holdings is the Constantinople and Jerusalem models. They have been changed on a bigger scale with this mod. Jerusalem looks absolutely beautiful. We have these major buildings included in the city of Jerusalem. The city of Constantinople got changed also on a huge scale. Major recognizable monuments and buildings include the Theodosian Walls, the Aqueduct of Valence, the Forum of Constantine, the Hippodrome, the Arsenal, the Augustaion, the Great Palace. Constantinople and Jerusalem malls, that's another must-have for me. Then we have the already mentioned Baghdad mod. With the medieval arts compatibility, you have these walls in the outside. Normally you just have this round walled holding, and together with the other two holdings, that makes the three major holdings in the Middle Age: Baghdad, Constantinople, and Jerusalem. The two holy sites mod just changes the look of Mecca and Medina and integrates the holy sites into the holding. And now we come to the huge section that changes the base game dramatically. Starting with the historic invasion mod. This mod increases the amount of historic invasions by a lot. It repeatedly sprinkles in historical guidelines from where your game is either strongly or less strongly influenced. As next we have the historicity mod. With that mod your game orientates more on the given history. For example, the Holy Roman Empire will be more often formed by the AI. The Makia Empire is stronger and poses a bigger threat. For example, the Viking invasion is more powerful, Normans in Sicily is a bigger thing, and many more things you can discover. The next one is a very famous, the so-called very immersive event entails a flavor event mod. It changes a lot of stuff, I can say. 1258 new flavor events to experience, new decisions, artifacts, character interactions, activities, and just all in all, a huge flavor and immersion mod, which gives you more variety and more flavor to every playthrough you start. A must-have in my mind. The next one, Regnum Teutonicum, is specifically for the Europe region. It changes size of duchies and their vessels, and fixes some titles of duchies, counties, and more. In summary, a bunch of new historical characters to specific families, altered houses, for example of Weimar, Friol, Hartwig, and so on, mainly for the HRE. The next one is the Catholic Trinity mod. With that mod you have the possibility with the investiture to change your bishop, but the Pope will hate you then. You can create anti-popes. You have the big gimmick of the College of Cardinals, where you can sometimes select a new pope. And you have the feature of sainted. Saints are persons in heaven who lived heroically virtuous lives. And you even have the chance to play the pope. The Muslim Enhancements mod does similar things but with the Muslim faith. I think the faith is too boring in the base game and could be a much bigger factor. The Catholic Trinity mod and this one brings more depth to the religions. With the Muslim Enhancement mods, you can become a Hafid, hire a Quranic expert and memorize the Holy Book with a new personal scheme, missionary expansions, 6 new inheritable traits for the Berber tribes of the old, Said trade enhancement, even more quality of life changes, 40 new historical buildings, and history-based changes to tenets, titles, new Muslim faiths, new names, and much more. The next one is regional immersion and cultural enrichment, short RISE. It adds immersion to different regions, cultures, and religions. You can say it is a collection of flavor packs for CK3, and it alters many things, changes a bunch of stuff depending on your region, and adds a little bit of flavor to all of your playthroughs. The modder says Rise's guiding philosophy is to keep a focused scope that won't change gameplay significantly, but instead adds flavor across the world that is grounded in historical authenticity, especially for lesser known places, peoples, and histories. So even though you play the smaller countries, and let's be honest, we all play the smaller countries in CK3 because it's more fun to become a great nation, starting from a small county, and even there you got a little bit of more flavor. Eastern Roman related projects to the Byzantine Empire, where you can slowly but poorly build the Roman Empire. If you like to play in the Byzantine region, that's something for you. The next one, Community Flavor Pack, must be the most famous mod for CK3, so I don't really have to tell you much about that. It just changes the clothing, it adds crowns, and makes the game more unique with more styles you can choose from. The dynamic family portrait mod changes how you got displayed on the bottom left corner. With this mod, not only you, but your wife and your player heir get displayed next to you. The Bring Me Gunpowder mod changes the Silk Road interaction. In the base game, you yourself will travel the rocky path of the Silk Roads. With this mod, you can send out your courtiers and let them make the dangerous journey instead of yourself. If he's actually able to finish this journey and comes back to your court, he brings back a bunch of gold, and when you're lucky you can get some nice court artifacts. Border Disputes mod is a nice addition to the normal casus bellis you have in the base game. With this mod you can decide to attack your neighbors and your borders with him for a much higher price in prestige than normal casus bellis, so you always have a claim to press against your neighbors. The more interactive vassal mod is a nice addition to the Border Disputed mod. It lets your vassals decide, depending on their opinion on you, to pick a side for their liege or against them or stay neutral. So with this mod, all of your vassals have a meaning, and it can come to situations where it can get a bit out of hand, where your supportive vassals and your declensive vassals fight with each other and you're on top of it, and even the wars outside of your realm fighting against other rulers can become more interactive, where you can bribe some vassals to change sides, and that makes every war more special and more challenging. The Battleground Commanders mod is a simple little mod where you can add a picture of the commander of your army over your army count. As simple as that. With the Immersive Realm Espionage mod, you no longer have information about your enemy's army counts and even your enemy's gold income. To get those informations, you have to send out your spy master to make a scheme on your enemy's court. After a couple of months, whether he is successful or not, he gives you the information in form of a brief text, so the game becomes more a scheme party and you have to really prepare your wars in advance. It makes the game a little bit more slow paced and, in my mind, a little bit more interesting. With that little addition, also your spy master becomes more relevant. Next in line we have the overextension mod. That's another mod that makes the game harder by the fact that when they make extension to a large scale, they get huge penalties from that. And dependingly on how large your realm grows, your penalties also increase exponentially. As next we have the claim fabrication CK2 style. With that mod you send out your archbishop to fabricate a claim. Normally in the base game you would get a 100% chance on these claims, so when the time runs out, 100% of the time get the claim on the county. With that mod, you just get a percentage on the claim, depending on your archbishop traits and on the enemy's traits. The mod simply slows down the early game process of getting claims and growing your realm, and makes the game more fun in that way, that it spreads out the fun game part, the early and mid game, and it becomes harder to just simply paint out all of the map by fabricating mass claims. So you are sometimes in a situation where you wait a couple of years even for a single claim. And then we have the big boy in the mod list, the Dark Ages mod. It's the biggest mod in the mod list, and you can say that it's even a total conversion mod because it changes so many things. Warfare has been rebalanced and is now more unpredictable and consequential. Several new ways, mostly enacted through decisions of earning gold, adding new layers of roleplay and management to the gameplay. Several money things have been introduced to keep the game more challenging and interesting. Diseases can kill. Expect to get under the weather more frequently, sometimes leading to serious diseases. There are many different game aspects that might lead to murder attempts on the player character. You see that in my videos, by the way. I get attacked very often. Pregnancies are risky affairs and children will die very young much more often. Stress is given a new dimension in Dark Ages. It now increases progressively by participating in offensive wars, while being at peace, decreasing it. Going into aggressive war will increase stress yearly by a certain amount, depending on the character personality traits. Vassals have an opinion penalty if they are far from the capital. Popular opinion can also be dangerous if going heavily into the negatives. And many more changes. It is a whole new game with different ways of playing it. These are the words from the developer, and I must say he is totally right. The game becomes much harder with this mod. Every action has much more impact and every stat has meaning now, and you're always in a situation where you have a fear for your life. Dark Ages is, in my opinion, the best mod out there besides the total conversions, the Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings for example. But if you stay to the base game, Dark Ages is the thing for you. If you like a challenge and if you like roleplay, try Dark Ages. Trust me. The next two mods are HOC Updated and HOC Submod. The HOC submod makes some of the decisions that are unavailable in the base mod available again. And HOC is a beautiful mod that adds flavor in form of man-at-arms and army to the game. With HOC you get more variety on your army. So not always your army looks like you have one armored footman and one armored horseman and one light footman and one light horseman. With that you have more variety on that. The next in line, reduced tradition cooldown, is also a mod from myself. I simply reduced the cooldown for traditions to 15 years. I think in the base game it's 50 years. I was always in a situation where I had enough prestige to introduce a new tradition, but I had to wait so many years. And because of that, the tradition mechanic became more a gimmick and not a real strategic tool. With the reduced cooldown, you can, based on your situation, make strategic decisions with your traditions. The next one is Manor Domicile. I love this mod. I found out about this mod just a couple of weeks ago, but from there on I always had it in my mod list. It's the decision to found a Manor Domicile for feudal, clan and tribal. Normally in the base game with the All Under Heaven DLC and what is it called? The Byzantine DLC, I don't know what it's called even. You have the opportunity to found or to build up your domicile. And with this mod, you have the possibility to all of the rulers. So the Byzantines and the Chinese and Japanese don't have this interaction alone. The Battle Graphics mod is a lovely little mod that changes how the battles look in CK3. Even just when your armies walk from one point to the other, they look different now. They don't have these one human walking around the map anymore. I think that's looking really dumb. And with that mod, army actually looks like an army. And when they fight, they have horsemen, they have archers, they have footmen in front, and that's, in my mind, that's a lovely little addition to the game. I love this mod. But next we have the Hide Army Numbers mod. That mod changes, fitting to the immersive RAM espionage mod, that you don't have information about your enemy's army strength. You can only see the army count of your enemies if they are on your realm or if you are close to them in their realm. With the Hide Army Numbers mod, your war campaigns become even more strategic. And when you are not strategically planned your war, maybe then it's already too late for you. So the Hide Army Numbers mod, it's another addition to a great challenge for yourself. The next one, Weight of Crown. Another big scale mod that changes how economy and how population and how your holdings work inside of your realm. At first, you need a hell lot of DLCs for that mod, so keep that in mind. This mod adds granular population and social classes. Protect your freemen, serfs, slaves, foragers, tribesmen, nobles and clergy. Manage tens of thousands across provinces, adjust tax policies and reap immense wealth. With this mod, you can actually see your population and your social classes inside of your holdings. An immigration system is also integrated. Populations migrate to provinces with higher development and available land. Dynamic multiculturalism. Provinces features proportional cultures, religions. Immigrants bring diversity but also tension. There's also a fort maintenance. Forts degrade when breached or neglected. Repair or rebuild them. You can interact with the court position to maintain your fort. You have realistic climate zones, 11 distinct climates based on the Köppen classification. You can choose between 6 focuses, whether you want to focus on prestige or monthly income. When you fight a war, you can hire your numbers of knights, can increase your monthly lifestyle experience, or when you try to scheme against someone, increase that. You also have the interaction of army training level. When you want to fight in a war, you beforehand have to tell your marshal to train your men-at-arms and levies, so they don't suffer from huge penalties to their damage and toughness. That's really important when you want to fight in an equal war. Then you can choose between several lore steps and change how your realm should develop and increase and decrease your building cost and time. The Weight of Crown mod is absolutely beautiful once you get used to it. Beautiful mod. And next in line we have the Golden Dominion mod. If you want to see what this mod is capable of, check out my Trade Empire Venice video. But in short summary, that mod gives you the opportunity to play as merchant republics, the possibility to play as Venice even. Normally in the base game that's not possible. That mod, sometimes you don't even recognize that mod is activated, but in some playthroughs you have nice possibilities to change your playstyle depending on your situation, and you can even become a merchant republic if you want to. My own reduced levies mod is the next one. I think, in my mind, the levies are terrible in this game. They're just spamming men, don't really have meaning in the late game. And because I play with another mod I show you shortly after that one, I have to reduce my army counts so I can play in a good performance, let's say. And the second last mod in line, the Crusader Wars mod, I spoke already about that. That's the mod I need to reduce the levies for, because with that insane mod, you can fight your CK3 battles in Total War Attila in real time and with 1-to-1 army counts from CK3. I must say, I love Dark Ages, but Crusader Wars is something special for me. That's the main reason I make the videos, because I don't get the point why no YouTubers use that mod for cinematic videos. So I thought, okay, then I use it myself and make videos out of it. You can actually fight your battles from CK3 into Total War. I mean, that's something we always dreamed about, right? You have the deep strategic depth with that modlist, especially from CK3, and then you can even fight the important battles, the big scale battles in Total War Attila. That's beautiful. Shout out to them. Beautiful mod. And then as last, we have the quieter events mod. I get highly annoyed by the fact that you are often event spammed from CK3, especially in the late game when you have a bigger realm. And with that mod, it gets at least a little bit reduced. Some of the annoying events don't trigger anymore, or trigger in the bottom right, where you can just clear notification them. Yeah, I think CK3 has a huge problem with events. There are too many, and I would love to see another mods dealing with that problem, but quiet events is, in my mind, for now, the best solution for that problem. And that's it, guys. That's my mod list, and in my mind, the best mods of 2026 and 2025 combined in one mod list. If you want to check out what this mod list is capable of and what this mod list looks like, check out my videos on my YouTube channel. And what is your favorite mod? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you guys, and see you soon for another journey. Bye.